G'day and thanks very much for joining me in this course, Watercolor Painting Introduction. My name is Rod Moore. I'm the founder of Moore Art School and of Learn to Paint TV. And I'm here today to introduce you to this brand new course, Watercolor Painting Introduction. I started with watercolors as the very first medium I ever got interested in with painting, but I struggled with it. I didn't really understand how to use watercolor properly, and I tried a number of different classes and courses and teachers, but never really found an approach like I'm going to show you in this course. It just broke everything down into a really simple step-by-step process for producing great looking watercolor paintings. So you'll enjoy this course and you'll get a lot out of it. Just take your time and work yourself through the course systematically. In the first section, we'll go through all the equipment that you need, obviously, to paint watercolor successfully. There's certain equipment, brushes, paints, paper, so on, that you're going to need. Then in the second module, we'll look at some basic ideas around watercolor painting. There are things that you need to know, like how does your color perform, so we'll create some color charts. We'll look at the color wheel, and we'll look at values and how to break the pigment back using water. And then we'll also look at the role of water in creating hard edges and soft edges. And watercolor is a unique medium in that regard. So we'll really get into some of the basic ideas around watercolor that you must know to be able to move forward with watercolor. But where you really learn to paint is when you actually put the brush to the paper, and that's why I've included 3 full-length demonstrations for you. Personally, I learn a lot more from watching an artist go from the very beginning of a painting all the way through to a finished painting. And so I found that if you're getting a highly edited version of the painting process, you're not getting everything you need to know. So what I've done in this course is included 3 full-length demonstrations. The first one is Robin Hood's Bay. So it's a little seascape of a little village in the UK, beautiful part of the world. And we'll look at how do you recreate the photo that I'll include in the course and turn that into a beautiful watercolor painting. So we'll do that as our first one. And that's a fairly simplistic sort of approach and quite a simple little subject. Then we'll get a little bit more complex. We'll do an Australian landscape scene of some hay bales on a countryside with a distant hill, and we're only going to use a few colours in that painting just to show you the different effects that you can get by layering in watercolour washes and then adding details to them later on. And then in the third demonstration, we'll do a more complex watercolour demonstration for you, a complete painting where we'll look at a shearing shed in an Australian bush scene. And this adds a little degree of complexity to it because now we're introducing man-made objects like a building, a shearing shed. So each of the demonstrations gets slightly more complex, and by following through and doing each of the steps in those paintings, because what I've done is I've broken the demonstrations down into the initial drawing, then the initial washes, and then the details and finishing touches and highlights. And I follow that same process through the 3 demonstrations to make it really easy for you to learn exactly what it is that I'm doing. So this is going to be a lot of fun. I hope you enjoy it. Watercolor is such a beautiful medium to paint in, and when you start to understand it and get a feel for how it works, you can produce some really beautiful paintings that I'm sure you'll be proud to hang them on the wall and say that you did them. So let's get started with our first module, looking at the different equipment that we're going to need to be successful with watercolor painting. I'll see you in the next section.